I love Tucker Carlson,
Mm-hmm.
but every once, like I listen to, well, I think he's great.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, though, he'll be saying something, and he's like, "Yeah, this is the freedom and democracy," and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, "Dude, like, what are you saying? You're too smart to keep saying this. You don't actually believe that. Like, look into what those terms actually mean."
Right.
And it goes against. I mean, he's having this big Christian conversion, and it seems like he might become Catholic and all. And it's like, you don't believe any of the things when you really break them down. It's funny. Um, there's a heresy called Americanism.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It
Thank you,
doesn't
Leo
mean to be an
13th.
American as a heretic, but it's basically liberalism.
Yeah.
And one of the famous American Catholic intellectuals was Orestes Brownson, and he totally was faithful and died in the good graces of the church. And
Mm-hmm.
but at the time, he was trying to argue, like there was this sort of zeitgeist within 18th, 19th century Catholic thought, which was trying to find a way to make liberalism make sense.
Yep.
And Leo the 13th was trying to do that before he was Pope. They thought he was a liberal. And then he came down and wrote like 55 encyclicals against liberalism. And they're like, well, that didn't work. And Orestes Brownson was basically trying to argue that, pragmatically speaking, the American system was ideal for the church because it was a free marketplace of ideas, and the Catholic ideas were the strongest, so they would win in the end. And it kind of made sense, but the reason why that notion got smacked down was because, and Brownson was a genius. This is like, there's wonderful stuff. You should read his works. And he was loyal to the church, so he didn't keep pushing with that after it was, dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
But it always comes back to paternity. Like, and that's the thing that is missing, is because, I did this like 13-part series on They've Uncrowned Him by Lefebvre on my
Mm-hmm.
Substack. And we just went through it, every chapter. And if you break it down to common sense principles, to speak of common sense, I would never say that I don't care what foods my kids eat. I don't care what television shows are available to them. I don't care what books they get, because I know in the end the best ones will prevail.
Mm-hmm.
That's not actually how it works.
Right.
They will poison themselves. They will watch immoral content. They will read bad books. Now, they might come out fine, but they might go to hell. And so I just say, nope, we are not going to have strychnine in our food.
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to have false religion in our books. And we're not going to have pornography on our computer. It's just not going to happen. I won't allow it. It doesn't have rights.
Yeah. Error has no rights.
And false religions have no rights. Religious liberty, this upsets so many people when I say this, which is why you invited me on, to make people mad. Religious liberty in the positive sense is blasphemous. To say that, and when I say positive, it's a technical meaning. Toleration, meaning you have a permission from the state, is different than a right. A right is you have the you have the right to do it. So, only the Catholic Church can have rights. All other churches cannot. All other religions cannot, because error has no rights, but more importantly, Satan has no rights.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say all religions have the same rights in our country, because you're saying Christ and the devil have the same rights. And it's absurd. And this is ultimately what liberalism and democracy and so forth requires. Now, you could have a Republican state, not like the party, but the style of government.
Yeah.
And those have worked in the past because their constitutions and their documents were not liberal. But they only ever worked as smaller countries in larger empires.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll say, well, the Venetians had a republic for a long time. Well, yeah, but Venice is a city, okay? So,
Yeah.
let's be honest. And it was in the Holy Roman Empire. And they couldn't do things that were out of step with the emperor who answered to God, And all these things have to be rethought by people, especially American and Canadian Catholics. So we have the same myths here, and different, it's more subtle, but they're here.
Mm-hmm.
They all have to be rethought, because if you follow them through to their basic principles, it really is a rejection of authority.